Infigo Insights utilizes the Metabase platform to visualize and utilize your platform's data. In this tutorial, we'll take a look at creating a basic question. This is Metabase terminology, giving you the means to generate informational data reports using intuitive tools. Our basic example will see us creating a question, looking at the total value of orders taken on a singular storefront over the past 30 days. Now, in order to be able to utilize this functionality, you will need one of the higher levels of Insights bands. So Insights Standard will not allow you to create reports in this fashion. However, Pro Plus, and Enterprise will allow you to do so. So within the actual Metabase platform itself, I'm going to go to the top right, click on New, and then Question. And from this point, we're actually just using this screen here to choose, to format, to refine the data that we want to use and show it in the format that we find useful for our particular needs. The first thing we need to do on here is to pick our starting data. Now, you have the ability to select between two different things. One of them is the actual Infigo platform. Now, this is named Training in my case, and this is due to the name of my particular platform, which is training.infigosoftware.com. Yours will be named something different, or you can utilize the output of any previous saved questions. In our case, we're going to click on the main bulk of the data, which is in my case, training. And then we're going to select the initial database that we want to use. So in this example, we'll only use data from one of the available provided data tables. However, as we'll see in later tutorials, multiple data tables can be utilized in a single question. In this example, we're looking for the value of orders received, so we can feasibly use the order dataset. You'll see that a few extra things have appeared on our screen now. We do also, within this data section that we've just placed something in, we do have this arrow button next to it. This is not a mandatory step. However, the arrow can be used to refine the fields that are displayed on the eventual data set. So without refining the selected fields, all data will be displayed by default. So we'll see data by default for every single one of these columns for every single bit of data. However, if we're only interested in certain pieces of data, we can refine this down. So for example, I might only be interested in things such as the total, maybe the storefront ID. So I could choose whatever information I wanted from here. Now the purple section that we've got is filtering. And this allows us to create filters to narrow down our answers to these questions. So filters allow you to refine the displayed data set and cut out unnecessary noise. For example, in this instance, we will apply two filters. Filter 1 will display order information for only one storefront on our platform, so we're not mixing information from different storefronts. And filter 2 will ensure that only order information from the previous 30 days has been included. So let's start off by refining down to a singular storefront, first of all. So what I want to do is say add filters to narrow our answer, and we're searching for a relevant filter in here. So this is a relevant piece of information that we want to filter by. We're looking for storefront, so if I start searching for this, we do have an ID here, which is storefront ID. And then we want to actually type in the data that we want to filter by. So how you can filter this field will be controlled by the type of data contained within it. So for example, here we have sort of a numerical ID. And as a result, we're able to enter values to filter and then control how these values are used. The default usage, for example, is this is icon here. This means that only values of that chosen ID will be shown. Alternative things in here include things such as is not, greater than, less than. So we can refine down and filter the data based on any of those selections. Now, in this particular case, I'm just refining it to one storefront, which I know as a storefront ID of 66. Click enter, and that's my filter input. Now, for our second filter, we wish to refine displayed dates. And for this, we're able to select a field such as created date within the order table. So I could search for something like date, just to see any relevant particular associated field. There's a few I can choose from within the order table itself, and I can select whichever one is most relevant to me. So I'll say created date. Now, because it's recognized this as a date field, it will give us inputs allowing us to specify the date we want to consider. Now, this can be as general as today, it could be last month, or it could be in the last year, or it can cover a specific time period and time frames. So I could go for specific dates or relative dates, for example. If I want to say it's within the last month, I can click on that. And then if I click back on that data, I've got some capabilities there of refining that last month information even more. So for example, it's saying at the moment that's the last 1 month. That's giving me the last complete month by default. So it's showing me the 1st of October to the 31st of October in my case. However, I could, for example, say, include this month if I wanted to. Alternatively, if I didn't want 1 month, I could change it to a different time period. Current, or I can do future dates as well, if that's relevant to our particular search. So next, we can actually start to visualize this data. So the data covered by the current question being asked can be viewed at any time by clicking on the Visualize button at the bottom of this section. And what we can see in our example is that based on our refinement of displayed columns and filtering of data, we've got 3 columns available. One is showing us the order ID, one is showing us the relevant storefront that our order ID is associated with. And because we placed the filter of 66, that's all it's showing us. And we have the associated price as well. That's the data that we're currently utilizing. If we want to apply some additional filtering to this, if that's not quite the information we want, we can go back to the editor with this icon over on the top right hand side. So what we might want to do next, the data that we had there is showing us the sum, well, it's showing us the price of all of the individual orders in the last month. But what we want in our particular case is a total price of all of those orders. So we want all of those summed, and we can do this using the summarize functionality. So summarize allows you to display existing data in a more condensed way. So if for our case, for example, we're looking to display one order price for the entire month, instead of data on each individual order that's been placed. If I click Summarize, there's a few different means by which I can summarize the particular data, and obviously your choice would depend on what exactly you're looking for, and you can enter your own custom expressions as well if you have the technical skills to do so. In this case, I'm just going to say sum of, and then it's giving us the ability to select the information that we want to sum. In our case, as we've mentioned, we want the sum of all of those individual order totals. So I can say sum of total. Let's go ahead and click Visualize yet again. And then we can see that our answer has now been obtained. So we're seeing just a singular value, which is combining all of those order total bits of data that we saw on our previous table. This is now giving us our required data, the order total, over the past 30 days. So now this particular question has been complete. We want to save it for later use. So on the top right hand side, I'm just going to go and click Save. We're then entering a name for this particular data, an optional description, and then we're specifying a location on our account where we want to save this information. So there's a few sections which are associated with your particular platform, or you can save it to your own personal collection. Now here, you'll see we have the ability to add this to one of our dashboards. So saved questions can immediately be added to a dashboard, which is a collection of different questions and other data that you wish to make readily available for review. At this particular point, we're going to click on Not Now, as we'll create dashboards in a later tutorial. And that's it. That's our first basic question created.